Hello everyone. Yeah, Federico from Bitfinex, and today we're going to talk about the RGB protocol. As Bitfinex, we decided to heavily invest in RGB protocol, and we have a team working full time for open source development on top of RGB. And so here I will explain some of the reasons that brought us to this decision years ago. So why do we believe that RGB is important, RGB matters, and it can have a very bright future. Okay. Okay, so first of all, as you can see from the title, RGB is about tokenization and tokenization on top of Bitcoin and Lightning. And so I think important thing to look at is the current state of stablecoin distribution. I mean, stablecoin is the main use case for tokenization right now. I mean, like a real use case other than just gambling and speculation. And we can see that right now stablecoin distribution between the two main stablecoins is heavily concentrated on Ethereum, Tron, and few other altcoins. There is a little bit, the last column is liquid, Bitcoin sidechain, but yeah, as you can see, is very irrelevant compared to the total size of the stablecoin market. So while this showed that the market is generally okay with using other chain other than Bitcoin for stablecoin usage, I mean, I think there are a few reasons why we can do better than this and move forward towards a situation where there is much more activity on top of Bitcoin rather than other chains. So what is the problem we are trying to solve? So yeah, so the problem is that, yeah, of course there is evident demands for peer-to-peer payments with stablecoin and other kind of derivatives of other asset. But yeah, the only available solution there are on top of altcoins, and other Bitcoin-based solutions so far kind of fail to fully leverage all the potential of Bitcoin. So RGB is trying to address some of this problem, but first let's try to understand what we don't want and what we want. First of all, what we don't want, that if you want to improve on the current status quo, we do not want to trust a federation. So like just building a sidechain where we have a bunch of federation members. I mean, okay, it can be okay for some use case. I'm not saying that like you shouldn't use it, but if we want really to offer something better than what you currently have available using other chains, you cannot just rely on a federation, which is why I believe that liquid is not a significant enough improvement compared to altcoins to actually drive adoption, because it's still based on a trust assumption that you need to trust a federation. We do not want to trust a set of proof-of-stake validator like you do with most altcoins. I mean, at the end, with Tron, even with Ethereum, at the end, you have a set of validators that is not too large, and so there is a real risk of collusion the moment that enough incentive is put on the table. So yeah, we really want this to be more decentralized, so that censorship is very hard to apply. We want this to be, we do not want a solution where it is hard for the user to run his own node. Because yeah, that's the problem with most of those altcoins. Like with Ethereum, if you try to run your own node, it takes a lot of resources, and most consumer-grade hardware, it cannot actually do it. And same with most of the other coins. So we want a solution where users can run their own node, so that we can maximize the decentralization, and we don't need to trust the external services, external indexer, as we do when we use Tron or when we use all these other altcoins. We shouldn't end up in an overly expensive fee environment, so cost of transaction should still be okay, which means that we will have to work with the layer 2s, as just layer 1, it doesn't scale without getting in a high fee environment, and we doesn't want to have uncertainty over the long-term reliability. And this is a very important point. Because, okay, right now the market is okay with using Tron, with using Solana, with using I don't know, Binance Smart Chain, whatever. But I mean, are we confident that all those solutions will still be around in 10 years' time? Maybe yes, but maybe no, because there is a certain degree of centralization that makes them vulnerable to different kind of attack, regulatory attack from the government that can heavily limit how they work, censorship attack that can make them unpractical to use. So we want to have a solution that we can say, okay, 20 years from now, this stuff is still going to work. And altcoins, they cannot provide that, but if we build directly on top of Bitcoin, Bitcoin can provide long-term reliability much more than any other system. So yeah, so what do we want? We want to have something that has the same trust assumption of Bitcoin. So we don't need to trust validators, we don't need to trust federation members, same trust assumption of Bitcoin. We just trust that the proof of work, the mining, is sufficiently decentralized that 51% attack are not possible. So that's the only trust assumption that we want to have. We want it to be sustainable consumer grade hardware, efficient in usage of on-chain space, so the fee don't go too high, and that we need to have a compatibility with Lightning Network or potentially other layer 2 solution that may emerge on top of Bitcoin, so that it can scale while maintaining a low cost of transaction. So, how do we achieve that? So the RGB solution, RGB is a protocol that try to achieve all of these things by you employing a new paradigm called the client-side validation. So client-side validation, it means that all the work of sharing the information about the transaction and validating it is not done on chain, but is only done client-side, and the information about the transaction is shared directly between the peers, is not published on the chain. Which means that you only see and validate the transaction that you are interested in, which is good for two reasons. First of all, if you don't see other people's transaction, other people don't see your transaction, so it's good for privacy. But more importantly, if you don't need to validate other people's transaction as you do when you run a node on Bitcoin or any other chain, it means that your device has less work to do, so it's less resource intensive on your computer. So what do we use Bitcoin for? We use the Bitcoin blockchain only for protection from double spending, which is the thing that Bitcoin does best and that there is no alternative for. But we don't use the blockchain for that availability. So we don't publish on the blockchain all the transaction data because it will be expensive, it will be inefficient, it's not necessary, and it will even be annoying for other Bitcoin users because you just make the blockchains grow faster in size, which increase the cost of running a node for everyone. So the way RGB works, that RGB transfer are committed inside a Bitcoin transaction, but the transfer itself is shared peer-to-peer between the parties. But since it's committed inside a Bitcoin transaction, RGB transaction can inherit all the security guarantees of Bitcoin. So we have the same security of Bitcoin, but then we use a separate letter to share transaction data. So this is a different paradigm from what we are used to with like layer 1 blockchain. So in layer 1 blockchain, just everyone put all the information on the blockchain and validates that all the transactions on the blockchain are valid, which works only until there are not too many transactions. While with client-side validation, everybody only validates the transaction that receives from his peers. So like if you pay me, I validate the transaction that you are paying me. But if two random guys pay each other, I don't see that, I don't care about it, I don't need to validate that. So more specifically, so the way RGB works is that ownership of an asset is linked to a Bitcoin UTXO. And when I want to do an ownership transfer, basically what I say is that, like, okay, these red tokens that before were owned by UTXO A, from now on will be owned by some part from UTXO B and some UTXO C, where UTXO C, let's say, is the change. and I do this ownership transfer, this is committed into a Bitcoin transaction, so it cannot be changed or manipulated. And so from now on, these red tokens are owned by UTXOB, which will then spend it, and there will be this chain of payment moving forward. So this is the way we guarantee that there can be no manipulation, because all of these transfers are committed inside the Bitcoin transaction, but the transfer itself stays outside of the blockchain, so it can be very space efficient. Wait, went too fast. But yes, so like for all of this to work at scale, we really need compatibility with layer 2, and the only layer 2 that is currently working in production on Bitcoin is the Lightning Network. So this luckily is already possible. So it is possible to modify a normal Lightning Network node to support RGB asset. Once you have that, you can create Lightning channel denominated in an RGB asset rather than being denominated in Bitcoin, as you have with normal Lightning Network. And at that point, the asset can be transferred at the same speed and convenience of Bitcoin and Lightning Network. So same trade-off, same speed, same convenience. But yeah, due to the nature of Lightning, of course, it requires liquidity. But yeah, you have the same trade-off that you have when you use the normal Bitcoin Lightning Network Bitcoin. We already have a node that implements this, which was developed by our team at Bitfinex. It's called the RGB Lightning node. You can try it. It's based on LDK for those that know about it. And so yeah, you can already run a Lightning node that is denominated in RGB assets. The very cool stuff about having RGB working on Lightning is not only related to payment, because yeah, payments are a very important piece of the puzzle, because we really believe in the growth of the stablecoin-based payment for a number of use cases. But yeah, right now most of the activities happening on crypto, in the crypto industry in general, is not related to payment, but is related to trading. But the very cool stuff is that once we have the capability to have RGB asset on top of Lightning, we can make decentralized trading on top of Lightning. And this can really be a killer app. So a decentralized trading, decentralized exchange on top of Lightning works with different paradigm compared to the traditional decentralized exchange on Ethereum or like other EVM chain that are based on the automated market maker model. With Lightning, you can have a DEX based on atomic swap. So the idea is that two peers can send one asset and receive another. So let's say one guy send Bitcoin and the other guy send back USDT at a pre-agreed exchange rate. And this can happen atomically, so it means that two parties do not need to trust each other. So this has several advantages compared to the DEXs we are used to. So first of all, we don't need to pay any on-chain fee because it's all happening over Lightning. So the fee can be close to zero, depending on how like on a AMM on a EVM chain. Also, yes, the advantage of very low latency because we don't need for a block to come out. And we have certainty over the execution price of the trade, because like when you trade on an AMM, it's like a market order. You are not sure what the execution price will be exactly. But with this, the price is pre-agreed on, so you can have like much better trading experience without need for risk management due to slippage. And so all of this, there is like a company that is already working on this called Kaleidoswap that is already building and close to release the first prototype for a DEX on Lightning. And yeah, the founder of the company is Gabriele, here present. So if you want to talk with him later, he will be available. And so yeah, this is like, we are not talking about the present, but we are talking about the near future. So the prototype will probably be released in the coming months. Then yeah, before closing, like just a few words about the RGB team at Bitfinex. So we have, as I was saying before, we have a team that has been working full-time on RGB for a few years now. Our goal is just to make sure and to help the RGB ecosystem develop and grow, to make sure that it will be a successful project. So we do this by working on improvement of the protocol itself. We build a lot of developers tools. So if you want to build on top of RGB, please come to me. I can recommend you a set of libraries that will really make your life much easier. So without having to even fully understand RGB, you can quickly build a wallet or an application, a DEX, whatever you need to do. We released the Iris wallet for Android, so if you have Android, you look for Iris wallet, you can play with, you can try for yourself to send and receive a RGB transaction or to issue asset. We built the Lightning node that was shown before, that you also can easily use to build applications. And we support other teams that work on RGB, so if you were interested in working on RGB, we will be happy to help you in using our libraries in general, help you to overcome problems if you encounter them. So here there are some screenshots from Iris Wallet if you want to try it. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.